Hello, fellow Rosarians. I am so glad that you joined me today. We've got two things that we're going to do. Of course, there is a winner that we're going to announce, but before we do that, I want to do a quick video on what I do every day. What is my maintenance plan for every day, every week, every month? Just a quick run through. And so when I am getting prepared for my day, I keep my my golf cart loaded up. And so if you don't have a cart, then maybe you've got a wheelbarrow, just one central place to keep your things. And I'm going to go ahead and put up on the screen my reference guide for you so that you can tailor it the way that you need to for your needs. So keep in mind, everybody's needs are going to be different. Everybody's maintenance plan is going to be a little bit different and tweaked to their schedule. I am fortunate right now that I'm able to telework full-time from home, but I do have a full-time job, and so I have to work my hours in the garden but around my job. So I usually come out first thing in the morning after coffee, and it's a 20-minute walkthrough of things that I'm doing. And then at the end of my day, it's another 20 minutes. But when I was not teleworking from home, I would come out here first thing in the morning before I ran out the door for my 2-hour commute into DC, and I would do a quick walk about how's everything look, is anybody really struggling right now, and then as soon as I came home I would give my 20 minutes after that commute home, because it was so relaxing for me to be in the yard and just decompress for my day and look at the plants. We know that when we plant, we're going to use biotone, and that, for me, something that everybody needs to be doing, because it's got the root stimulator in it. And my husband even asked me, he said, why does our yard look so great this year? And I think it's because, without fail, everything that goes in the ground gets biotone. And this is the first year that I've really done that. In the past, it was hit or miss whether or not I had it and I was going to use it. So biotone is a non-negotiable. You really need to do that, or use some other kind of root stimulator that you have. I also put gypsum in the planting hole, and I've done a video on that for when you're putting your bare roots in, because our soil really needs gypsum to loosen up that clay. But I implore you to have a soil test done so that you can see what are the needs of your soil, and make sure that you're doing that with your initial planting. I never fertilize when I first get my rose, whether it's a bare root or if I receive it as a pot. I want it to gently acclimate to my yard. So I wait to put any fertilizers on, and that goes for compost also. I don't do that until the rose has been in the ground for 4 to 6 weeks. It's gotten used to where it is, and I just don't want to shock it with anything initially. And as I've shared with you, I try to garden organically. So I'm not going to use anything that could possibly fry the roots of a rose if I don't use it in the right ratio. So if you're using organic ingredients, you're not going to have to worry about that. So when it is time to, I'll talk about when we fertilize once a month what I use. So that's for the initial planting. You've put it in the ground, you're waiting your 4 to 6 weeks, but your daily care, this is what you're going to do every day. I have my things that I'm going to keep with me as I go around the yard. So I've got, in my bucket, I keep gloves with me, I keep my pruners, and I've been a go-to girl for fiskars for a really long time, because I figure I hate sharpening pruners. And so if I can get 1 year out of a $12 pair of pruners and throw them away, it's just a price of doing gardening. When I'm thinking about Felco and Corona and spending, upwards of $50, $60 for a pair of pruners, it's a little bit more painful when I don't sharpen them, or I don't know how to do it properly, and then I throw them away. So I have been a Fiskars girl for a long time, but recently somebody tuned me into these pruners here, and I'm going to go ahead and link these down below also so you can check them out. I'm telling you, they are so sharp. So I might be changing my thinking about which kind of secators I want to be using. And then of course I also have little tiny Fiskars pruners that I use also. As I've shared with you before, I always keep with me a little bucket that has the alcohol in it. So after each cut, I can go ahead and be confident that my pruners are clean. I also carry with me the clips for staking. Inevitably, as I'm walking around, there's something that's kind of leaning over and needs a little bit of extra support. So I keep 3 or so different kinds of supports in my cart. I've shared those with you, and I'll link them down below. Just something to have on hand. I've also started using just my peony supports because I've taken the peony rings up for the season, and so if that's something that you already have on hand, just grab the supports. They're nice and straight, and then you can clip your roses to those supports. So besides that, 2 more things that I haven't shared with you yet. I carry popsicle sticks. So as I'm running around, if there's something that either needs care or I have recently sprayed it, it's easy for me just to mark it with a popsicle stick so that as I'm going around, if I see, let's say hypothetically, it has bugworm damage and I treat for it, I want to put that stick there so that when I'm doing my walkabout a couple days later and I look at it and say, wait, I've got bud damage on here, I don't spray it again, because those you're only going to spray once a week for pests. So I keep those popsicle sticks with me. I also keep a laminated card of good bugs and bad bugs. $4, something that I think everybody should have unless you are an insect person and you know all of the different bugs that are in your yard. And then finally, my water meter. That comes out with me every day. If I'm looking at a particular plant and it's looking sad for whatever reason, I go ahead and I put that in real quick to see which issue I'm dealing with, too much water or too little. So that goes out with me every day. And then of course I have my pop-up container for getting the debris out of the beds. And if you have access to a blower, it has changed my life now because I have so many roses using a leaf blower. So think about it. When you touch one of the leaves that has black spots, you know how it just drops right off to the ground and then you're searching and trying to pick it up. So because they come off so easily, I now use a leaf blower. So I use it on the rose, and not only will it take care of any bugs, and if they're beneficials, they'll come back, but it will also take care of all of those black spot leaves. And so I make sure that, sorry about the light here, it's doing something kind of funny, but then I make sure that I clean out the entire bed also and get all the debris out of the bed. Also, I take care of the petals that have fallen, because if you think about it, the petals, what if they have thrips? But if you get all of your petals even out of the bed, sometimes, you know, I like seeing, I think it's nice to see the fallen petals in the bed, but I clean every day now. And so that has really upped my game on being able to maintain the beds. So let's see what I've got here. What have I missed? So we're going to check the water needs daily. And that's just a quick look. You're going to be able to know your roses so well as you are looking at them on a regular basis. You're going to be able to tell, oh, you know, it didn't look like that yesterday, what's going on? And so you will know whether or not you're dealing with a water issue, and you need to check that with your meter. You're also going to look and see, do I have any pest? Are there holes in the leaves now, or are the leaves looking like they have rust and some kind of discoloration? So those are the kinds of things that you're looking for as you walk around, and then you're going to see if you need to buy a special treatment for that. Of course, do your research online and see how everybody else is treating them. I deadhead blooms every day. So as I go around, it's just therapeutic for me. If there's a bloom and I don't like the way that it looks, either because it's aged out or a pest has gotten it, an insect, then I'll just go ahead and take off that bloom so that it can put its energy towards other blooms and growth. I'm going to blow out the beds, remove any black spot with a blower or hand pick them, and then make sure you get everything out of the bed. I force myself to pull weeds, and I am, like I said, I only have 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon, and that is my routine every day. I dedicate more time on the weekends, but during the week it's just 40 minutes a day. And so I force myself to pull a weed, and I kind of have a game with myself, and I say, I'm just going to pull one. I don't want to pull any more right now. And so usually once I get out here and I pull that one, I'm like, well, you know, I'm already down here and there's, you know, 3 or 4 more. And then that's it. If that's all that I have energy for, and I know that a lot of you are in the same position where you just don't have, you only have so much time in your day, and you have to pick and choose what you want to do. So I do want you to tailor this list of daily care. What do you have in your day that you can put towards your roses? Maybe you only have time to walk around and enjoy looking at them. And then, you know, maybe you can add just a clip here or there on the rose blooms that need to be deadheaded, but figure out what works in your plan. But for me, this is my daily care. I keep a notebook with me, and I just make notes of things that I want to do in the yard. Okay, so now that we're done with daily, let's talk about weekly. Weekly, and I usually pick a day, so Saturday. Every Saturday I know that I'm going to look at treating any pests that are in the yard. Of course, I'm going to try to do everything organically, and so most of those treatments that you are using will say treat every 7 to 10 days because they don't want you doing it on a regular basis. With these treatments, make sure that you're also doing them either very early in the morning as the sun is coming up, so that the sun is not beating down the heat of the day and magnifying the treatment that you've put onto your rose. Or you could also do it, which I think might even be better, in the evening. So let's say 6, 7 o'clock, you can go out and spray, and now it's got from 7 o'clock until the sun comes out in the morning and the heat of that day, just that much longer to, you know, deal with having the treatment that you've put on it. So that's once a week. Monthly. Now monthly, I've done a video on this. You're going to do your fertilizer treatments. What I do initially for the initial treatment after I've put a plant in the ground is I put manure down, and then I also put rose tone, and I scratch that into the manure there around the base of the rose. That's once a year that I do that. But then each month after that, for me it's actually the 20th of the month or so, I do another treatment. And I've done a video where I showed you my calendar. So I do rose tone the first month, and then the next month I do a liquid fertilizer. I use Alaska fish fertilizer, and then I come back again to rose tone, and then I switch to Alaska fish fertilizer. So you do something different every month for your fertilizer treatment. But I might be trying something new next week that I'm excited to share with you guys. So I hope that that gives you a general schedule that I want you to tailor to your own needs and figure out what works for you. Gardens should not be something that stresses you out, so it needs to be something that you have no guilt about, and we don't judge each other here. So if you only have time to walk around and enjoy your roses, but do that every day, I think that that is a great thing. As gardeners, your ideas are constantly changing. As you learn something new in your yard, you'll move to something else and say, well, let me try this and see how it works. And so, you know, for me, somebody asked me if I wanted to try a new fertilizer next month that they have had great success with. And although I have been, you know, firm in how I fertilize, that it's rose tone and fish fertilizer, I'm willing to try something else and share it with you. So we're going to do that next month. So be flexible, and then always reach out. There are so many different sources for you. If you're dealing with a particular problem, I am certainly not the authority. I can only share with you what works for me, and I have my authorities that I go to. So I'm either reaching out through Facebook. We have our Rose Geeks Facebook page where you're welcome to chat with other folks that are experiencing the same thing. And you can also see who I follow through YouTube. I really only follow a handful of people, and I've shared with you how much I like Fraser Farms. So if he has a video out there and it's a topic that I'm not familiar with, I might ping his ideas and see what he's doing. Or Paul Zimmerman is another good one. So I want you to check out those pages also. And for your awareness, once I made the switch to start doing videos my own through YouTube, number one, I don't have a lot of time to be watching a lot of other videos, and I also wanted to make sure that the content that I was sharing with everybody was my own, and that I wasn't getting other information from other people, although it's good sometimes. If it was something that I felt fairly confident in what I was doing, I just don't look, and so I rely on you all. And you have been so great with me lately, where I was talking about grubs recently and how I treat for grubs, and I had somebody come back and say, well, have you thought about beneficial nematodes to put in the soil? No, I didn't. Thank you so much. And so I definitely rely on you guys now, because I'm not watching the same videos you are. And I'm always willing to learn something new, like these cicaders that are awesome. And I'm so glad that somebody recommended to me. So please be flexible, always willing to learn what you can from everybody else, and then make sure that you're sharing that information with others, me, so that I can learn too. So I appreciate that. I'm going to be doing a drawing here for somebody, and I'm going to let them pick the rose vendor that they'd like to try a rose from. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pick somebody. We are using commentpicker.com, and we clicked start here. It is picking somebody for me. Okay, and the winner is And Your Little Dog. And she has chosen, let's see here. I'm going to read this. I have a delivery from Heirloom coming today. I'm literally stalking the UPS live delivery map. We all have been there. I know what that's like. I know Heirloom wasn't your favorite in the rack and stacks, but I have many roses from them that are all doing amazing. One did die this winter, but they issued a credit, so I can always try again with Clone Perfect. I really do prefer to plant own root, although my 6 Edmund roses, 4 David Austin bare roots are happily in their 2nd to 20th years in my garden. So she has a very a diverse yard. So she hasn't let us know who she'd like to try from this time. I see that she has an order coming from Heirloom, but maybe she'd like to try somebody different. We're going to go ahead and reach out and find out who she would like to try. And for everybody else, I'd like to do this again, and we're going to do, this weekend I'm going to go around and measure all of the David Austin roses because I excluded them from the measuring that we did last week. So I'll do David Austin this weekend, and then maybe we'll do another drawing exclusively for David Austin. So I hope that this video was helpful, but in the event that you are really new and you're hoping to formulate your idea about what your maintenance plan should look like, I hope I gave you a good start there of things that I do, but please tailor that to your own needs, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.